right, I am here in Charleston, South Carolina, and behind me we have the pineapple fountain. I think you can see it over my shoulder there. There we go, pineapple fountain. And over on the other side, check out this view. Isn't that pretty? But you are not here for that. You are here to find out how Medicare works in South Carolina. So let's talk about that. All right, let's start with the Medicare Supplement Plan side of things first. Now, when we talk about supplement plans, the two most popular letters are Plan G and Plan N. If a 65-year-old were looking for a supplement plan right now, the average cost would be $150 per person per month nationally. Here in South Carolina, it's just $125. For Plan N, the national average is $120 per month. Here in South Carolina, it's just $85 a month. So you're seeing considerably lower rates here in South Carolina when we're talking about supplement plans. Now, a reason for that is because plans here are attained age plans. Now, we've talked about this in other states, but there are three ways that supplement plans are generally written. The first would be issue age. That's based on the age that you were issued the plan. So again, the plans for a 67-year-old going on Medicare are a little bit higher than a 65-year-old going on Medicare, but your rates do not increase because you turn 68. The other option is a community rated plan. It's not based on your age at all. A 65-year-old is paying the same as a 105-year-old. And then you have attained age plans, which is again what you're experiencing here. Attained age is by far the most common way for supplement plans to be written. Now, with attained age plans, that means that your price is based on the age that you have attained. What this means is that if you're 67 and you're on a supplement plan G, when you turn 68, you're going to attain a new age, which means that you get a little bump in your premium amount. In addition to that, you could see another bump because of the annual rate increases that insurance companies give based on rising healthcare costs and inflation. So with attained age plans, you could see 2 increases to your supplement plan costs every year. And this isn't just for Plan G. I mentioned Plan G, but it could be any of the supplement plan letters. So those 2 potential increases are different than the other plans in that those other plans will have that annual increase because of rising healthcare costs and inflation, but they aren't seeing the cost because you have attained a new age. So the 2 increases can sound like a bummer, but again, attained age plans are starting lower, as we see here, than the other types of plans generally across the country. And when we talk about supplement plans, because of those lower costs, you would think that the supplement plan penetration rate here in South Carolina is higher. Remember, the penetration rate is how many people are choosing supplement plans versus everything else. Now, the national average for supplement plan penetration rate is 21%. Here in South Carolina, it is slightly higher at 23%. So people are picking supplement plans a little bit more often here in South Carolina than the national average. You experience the same rules here on switching from one supplement plan to another that are the national rules. So if you watch any of our other videos, I keep things pretty general about how things work across the country. Those videos will apply to you here in South Carolina. You don't have a lot of exceptions there. What this means is that if you want to switch from a supplement plan G to another supplement plan G with another company, you're going to go through medical underwriting. And what that means is you're going to answer medical questions. If you have poor health, you could be charged higher rates or denied outright. There are things called guaranteed issue periods that would allow you to skirt the Medicare underwriting. But in general, if you're looking to switch from one plan to another just because you want to, you're going to go through medical underwriting. Now let's switch over to the Advantage plan side of the conversation. Now, when we talk about Advantage plans, let's talk about penetration rate first. What we're looking at nationally is 50% penetration rate for Advantage plans. So 50% of people are choosing Advantage plans versus everything else. Here in South Carolina, you're at about 44%. So you're lower than the national average of people choosing Advantage plans. Now, with both the supplement plans and the Advantage plans, that isn't me saying that you should or shouldn't take these. These are just the numbers here in South Carolina. I always recommend working with a licensed agent who is independent and able to offer you both options to go through these different scenarios with you. I'm not even saying use us. You can use our competitors, but use an independent agent. If you do want our help, I do have partners who are licensed and familiar here in South Carolina that would be able to help you. Now, a big number that we look at with Advantage plans would be the maximum out of pocket. That is the maximum risk that you could face in a given year. Once you meet your maximum out of pocket, your insurance company will take care of 100% of the approved charges after that point. Now, nationally, the average is $5,000 for the year. But here in South Carolina, you're considerably higher than the national average. It's looking at around $6,000 to $7,000 for your maximum out of pocket. So something to consider, and maybe that's what's pushing the Advantage plan penetration rate down lower than national averages. You're following all of the same standard rules nationally when it comes to switching Advantage plans over to supplement plans. So there are 2 trial rights that you should know about. The first trial right is if you take an Advantage plan at your 65th birthday. Your Part A Part B and Advantage Plan start dates or effective dates have to be the same day. And this really only occurs around your birthday, because remember, if you go on Medicare after 65, your Part A effective date is pushed back 6 months or to your 65th birthday month, whichever is closest. And what that does is it changes the start date, meaning Part A does not match up with Part B in your Advantage Plan. So at 65, if you take an Advantage Plan, you have a 12-month window where you can try the Advantage Plan and switch back to original Medicare and a supplement plan with no medical underwriting if you so choose. The second trial right is if you take a supplement plan first when you first go on Medicare, and this can be at any age. So let's say you're 70 years old and you're going Medicare for the first time. This also applies at 65, but let's say you're later at 70 and you take a supplement plan first. You can switch off of the supplement plan, try the Advantage Plan for 12 months or less. If you choose so, you can switch back to your original Medicare and supplement plan with no medical underwriting. Outside of that, you're really looking at a couple of options to switch from Advantage to supplement. Number one is if you have a special election period. So the most common is if you move outside of your plan's coverage area, you can get a supplement plan in original Medicare with no medical underwriting. Another common one is if your Advantage Plan leaves the area, then you can pick up a supplement plan and original Medicare with no medical underwriting. There are other things that constitute special election periods, so reach out if you're wondering about that, or I've got a link in the description that explains some of them. But outside of those, the trial rights and your special election periods, really what you're looking at is going through medical underwriting. You answer those health questions. If your health is poor, they could charge you more or deny you. Now, while I'm here, I have had the chance to meet with another huge Medicare YouTuber. His name is Christopher Westfall. Many of you know who he is. We hadn't met in person before, and he lives here in Charleston, South Carolina, and we got to go to lunch, meet him and his wife, and it was an absolutely incredible experience, because you see people here on YouTube, you see me, I see him, and you don't know how they are in real life. And Chris is just the most down-to-earth, humble guy. Great experience to meet him in person rather than just over Zoom or over YouTube. We're gonna go experience this a little bit more, figure out what's going on here. It's been an unbelievable time here so far. The weather has been perfect, and so I'm gonna go head off with my family. Just remember that I always leave secret keywords at the end of my videos, just to make sure that you've made it this far, because I get a lot of comments where people haven't watched the video, and if they just watch it a little bit further, I would have answered their questions. So if you've made it this far, if you mention anything water related, water sports, so water skiing, wakeboarding, just swimming in general, we are on the water here, anything referring to water sports, and I'll know that you've made it this far, and that can be our little secret. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure you do so. It means more than you know. And again, if you need any help, don't hesitate to reach out. My email is in the description of this video. I appreciate you making it this far. I will see you in the next video.